Hey y'all, Irix guy here, and I want to talk about an experience I had a few days ago, and that was test driving the new Alfa Romeo Giulia. Now in the United States, Alfa Romeo came back with their 2017 model, the Giulia, to look at it on a website or whatever. It's kind of like, man, that kind of, when you look at it, you may say, oh, that looks like, and I'm not going to drop brands, but that looks like such and such car. But when you see it in person, the lines on the car are freaking awesome. Just the overall, there's Sean Coonery, the big Maine Coon cat. You can check him out at SeanCoonery.com. But the overall look of the car in person is incredible. I mean, if you've looked at a lot of cars, and I mean, I'm talking about BMWs, Audis. I'm not a huge fan of Mercedes, but you know, whatever your luxury car may be, you've probably got a good idea as to what the competitors may offer. But when I first looked at the Alfa Romeo Giulia and I saw it in person, number one, what I had seen online did not do it justice. This car is meticulously well crafted. Now, you know, I'm saying all this, and I'm going to lead up to the test drive and tell you about that. But you know, first impressions, walking around the vehicle, again, great lines, just a very super duper, super high end looking car. I mean, obviously an Italian brand, so something that, you know, one might expect from an Italian vehicle is that really cool looking exterior. But you know, you're looking at the wheels, you've got the, and this is probably an option, but the one I was looking at was just a, you know, a base model, but it had the brake calipers, and they were bright color, they were red, and then they said Alfa Romeo on them, looked really cool, gave it a very super duper high end Italian sports car look. And that's the exterior. When you look at the back was incredibly impressive. The front, it looks aggressive, and I like the look of the front of the Alfa Romeo Giulia, but the front, in my opinion, is the least attractive aspect of the Giulia. Now, once I opened the door and I sat inside, that's where things got really neat. The seats in the Giulia, and again, I just looked at the, you know, the low-end base model, you know, nothing fancy, but when I sat on those seats, you could feel the quality. Super comfortable, yet supportive. I guess the best way to describe it, if you've sat in a BMW, if you've sat in a Mercedes, it's kind of, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. It's a very comfortable, yet supportive and aggressive style seat. There's no way to describe it. I mean, my best advice for you is to go out, you know, find an Alfa Romeo dealership, sit in that Giulia, and see what your butt feels like. Because your butt, your back, all aspects of your body that are, you know, touching that seat, it's an incredible experience. I found the ergonomics of the interior of the Giulia to be very nice. Now, obviously, the back seat is somewhat cramped, yet it's still usable. And the thing is, once I got in the back seat, you know, I'm 6'2", you know, I'm a pretty tall dude, and I got a little bit of a beer gut here, but once I got in the back seat of the Giulia, it was comfortable. And again, you could just really feel that supportive yet just super high-end leather seating. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it was a super duper cool aspect that I didn't expect. And obviously the layout of all the instrumentation in the Giulia, I felt it was nice. Like some other people may have said, when you look at the, and I'm talking about the 2017, by the way. When you look at the instrumentation panel, and by the way, the 2017 did not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So if that's a feature you're looking for, I think that may have been introduced in 2018. So, you know, it wasn't in the vehicle that I looked at. But what was cool, that screen for the built-in navigation looked really nice. But like other people have said, there was a noticeable amount of glare. But it wasn't a deal breaker. I think the layout of the dash, I mean, when you're in the Giulia, you're in a sports car. You know, when you get in, and especially the one that I looked at, even being a base model, it had the paddle shifters, and they felt very high end. The steering wheel felt very high end. And obviously the, 280 horsepower? Incredible. I mean, the acceleration in that thing was mind-boggling. The handling was great. The handling, and that's something I want to talk about, and I hope my description of how it felt is able to be understood. If it's not, you know, go out and test drive it, check it out. But having owned several BMWs, a Mercedes, and an Audi as well, I would describe the handling of the Giulia to be unlike any of those. It was a connected to the road feel, yet it had a slight, and I mean a very slight amount of mushiness to it. So it wasn't that mushiness like you get with a Japanese car, but you still felt connected to the road, yet it had a little bit of mushiness to it. And that may have been the all-season tires, but I mean it was super duper impressive. And the key, the key for the Giulia looks like a weapon. I mean, it's huge. It was really impressive. I mean, if you're looking for a car to get people to look at you, but you don't necessarily want to break the bank, the entry-level Giulia is awesome. And actually, I almost got it, but I'll tell you why I did not get the Giulia. Number one, I'm a very cheap dude. So, I want to get the best deal possible. And even though they were heavily discounted, it still wasn't quite there. I mean, I would say they were 80% where they needed to be to earn my business, but they didn't because they were about 20% away. So, and now I'm going to talk about, after having test drove the 2017 Giulia, I want to tell you some more that I've discovered after that. So everything was great. Concerns I had was, well, this model just came back to the United States for 2017. They're really, even though it's gotten really good reviews from the big guys, I mean the big people that go out and review performance cars, it's gotten really good reviews. But if you perform your due diligence and you look on forums, etc., you may become a little bit scared. I mean, if money's not an obstacle for you, it may not be something to scare you away. If money's not an obstacle, I would say go out and get a Giulia because they're super cool. But being someone that has a limited budget, I mean, I'm an independent YouTube channel. If you want to support my channel, definitely do so. Patreon, check the link within this video's description. If you choose to do so, you can support Irish Guys Adventure channel. But I don't have the budget at this point in time to purchase a vehicle that may be bad financially. And let me explain that. So, super duper impressed. Awesome feel, awesome look, exterior, interior. Definitely a car that'll make you feel excited even when you just look at it. But when you get behind the wheel and start driving it, you feel even more excited. Great fuel economy for a performance vehicle. What scared me was the when I performed my due diligence and I looked at all the forums and I found all of these articles. Now, on the surface, this may not seem like a big deal, but there were some people that said, oh, I had a fender bender, I was in a parking lot and a shopping cart hit the tail light on my Giulia and I had to get the tail light replaced. As we know, for most any vehicle, insert big brand or luxury brand or mainstream brand, whatever, here, a tail light's probably not that big of a deal. But they were going as far as to say that, the tail light, minor damage to a vehicle, but if you're like me, you're a car guy, and that's damage, you want to get it fixed. But because Alfa Romeo is so new to the United States, again, 2017 is the first model they've had in several years available in the United States, the parts aren't readily available. So even for a very minor thing like a shopping cart breaking a tail light or, maybe backing up and, a minor incident with the vehicle, even the minor incidents are hard to repair. Well, not necessarily hard to repair, but it takes a lot of time because they got to get the parts. So from that perspective, that was something that scared me away from the Alfa Romeo Giulia at this point in time. Now again, super duper excited. That was such a thrilling experience test driving a Giulia. And if my common sense had not kicked in and I had not performed my due diligence, I would probably be driving a Giulia right now and I'd be very happy. Even though I may be happy, I would probably be concerned because, what if this happened? What if that happens? So I'm not saying this to deter anyone from buying the Giulia, because I want to buy one. And Alfa Romeo, if you're watching this, and if you want to send me one to review and drive around, I would be more than thrilled. And I would love to post a ton of YouTube videos and all kinds of good stuff. Because, I mean, you have an incredible car. But because of the forum post, I became scared. I backed off. And again, the deal that I had, I was about 80% there. Now, I'm a stiff negotiator, and I'm cheap. I'm a stiff negotiator, and I'm very cheap. But I was 80% there. I almost took a bite. Almost took a bite and got the Alfa Romeo Giulia, but I didn't. Because again, I'm a very controlled person. And I want to thoroughly assess any situation, whether it's buying a vehicle or, a risk assessment for some sort of project, or, I do this, but if I do that, what could happen? What could go wrong? I look at every possible outcome for any scenario. And this, for me, at this point in time, the Alfa Romeo Giulia was not right, because even though it was heavily discounted, and again, that heavy discount made me think, because I'm like, a car this awesome, that drives so well, that people turn their heads and they're like, whoa, there goes something Italian going down the road. By the way, made in Italy. This is not something that's parted out to Mexico and other countries. Nothing wrong with that, but if you're getting a vehicle of this caliber, you probably want it to be made in Germany or Italy or somewhere like that. I think it's Assini, Italy, or however you pronounce it, where this is made. But, no, that part was good, but the heavy discount, anytime I see a heavy discount, if you're, regardless of what you're buying, maybe you're let's think this up, say you're a wristwatch collector. If you see a wristwatch that's heavily discounted, it's probably a warning sign that you may not want to buy that. Because probably what will happen is that the heavy discount will devalue the brand. And if the brand becomes devalued, if you ever want to trade or sell or whatever, you're probably out of luck. And that was my fear, going in on something that just returned to the U.S. for the 2017 model. What if they kill themselves by heavily discounting their product? What if they don't sell well because of what's going on the forums? What if dealers discontinue selling the Alfa Romeo Giulia? They're like, well, we're selling other brands better. Why do we want to waste our time and energy on a product that's not selling, and we're having to heavily discount at the end of season just to get it off of our lot? And that poses a huge inconvenience, especially people that may have purchased one that may not have a larger Alfa Romeo dealership in a nearby city. So there's a lot of unknowns. And again, not trying to scare anyone away. I mean, I thoroughly love that car. I mean, without hesitation, I will go as far as to say it's the most impressive vehicle that I've ever looked at, the most impressive vehicle that I've ever driven. But I feel that it's the best decision that I've ever made when it comes to purchasing a vehicle. And that decision, unfortunately, was to not purchase the Alfa Romeo Giulia 2017 edition. With that said, what I want to do is wait, see what happens after a few years have passed. And see, that's kind of the bummer, because you get something new and hot like this, and you're the person that's driving it, you're having a good time, but it's not like and I like BMWs, and I like a lot of cars, but those cars are so popular that you see them everywhere. So it's just like, you're just one of many. But, you're cruising around Alfa Romeo Giulia, you're something special. And it doesn't mean you had to pay more. But you're something special because you've got something that's kind of out of the ordinary. And from that perspective, it's cool. So, early adopters, again, back to my original point, or to my original comment rather, early adopters that can't afford to take the risk, definitely go for it. But if you're like me and you cannot afford to take the risk, don't go for it. And that's what I chose to do. I didn't go for it. So it, awesome vehicle. But I found another vehicle, stay tuned for my videos, that is kind of mainstream. But even though it's mainstream, it's absolutely incredible. It doesn't have the horsepower of the Giulia. But I tell you what, the seats are just, well, I wouldn't say as comfortable, almost as comfortable as the Giulia. Those seats in the Giulia were awesome. And it gets good gas mileage. It does 0 to 60 in about 5.2 seconds. And it's just an impressive ride. But I wanted to post this video because if you're like me, you got on YouTube and you were just, searching everywhere, trying to find out every little tidbit or every little bit of every clue that you could in regards to the Giulia, because you've seen, maybe there's discounts in your area too, and you're like, man, that's an awesome car. It's Italian. It's made in Italy. Look at the sticker. Why is this thing so, and they're not cheap, don't get me wrong, but so affordable for that segment of vehicle. Why is it so affordable? So tell me what you think. Be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/iRickSky. Thanks for watching, and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, iRickSky here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.